biodiversity.
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're doing a review of Unit 2 biodiversity.
I don't remember what my YouTube video was.
You can talk if you want.
Yeah.
Tell them to follow your social medias.
Okay, here we go. Let's get rolling.
Say, give me a like on Instagram.
All right, so from here on out, with every test, there's 9 units. There's actually going to be 8 tests. There's not 9 tests, but every test we take is going to have at least one dimensional analysis, just because I want to make sure you keep it in your mind, fresh in your mind. Okay. So it's not like this is the one, of course, but just refreshing you, on that. Okay. Okay. What's biodiversity?
Different things in the
Different
environment.
Yeah, different things, right? If only deer lived in the forest, and then over here, deer, foxes, coyotes, squirrels, birds, what is the benefit of biodiversity?
More richness.
Greater richness. I mean, the word biodiversity
It's more healthy.
it's healthier. It's more,
Protective.
what's the,
Resistant. Resilient.
well, it's both. It would be both resilient and resistant, right? So there's a lot of benefits to biodiversity, right? And I don't want to get too much because we'll get into all those other things that you guys were saying, okay? So you can just use the word biodiversity, and then we have the different types of diversity, right? So ecosystem diversity refers to all the different ecosystems, deserts, rainforests, temperate forests, you see what I mean? All those different ecosystems. Species, all the different types of species, that's diversity. And then genetic diversity, all the different genes inside of organisms. You want diversity, right? Do you want to have all the same organisms that have been inbred all living together? Or do you want mixing of the genes and diversity? You want mixed genes. You want to have diverse genes. Okay? Okay, so biodiversity, the greater the biodiversity, how does that affect the environmental health?
It makes it go up.
Yeah, it's definitely better, right? Okay, and that's where that comes in, right? Okay, so generalist and specialist. Actually, in the next unit we get into, there's a whole section where we just do generalists and specialists. But this is just kind of a sneak peek about it, right? So give me an example of a generalist. A raccoon. Okay. Is there much out there that's going to affect them? No, they are not sensitive to much of anything.
Except cars.
Yeah, well, that's the bad day for
Are
them.
people general?
Although I had a car a couple years ago, and it tore the bumper off the car because it was such a big raccoon that I
I've
hit.
seen some dead raccoons the last couple of days.
Yeah.
I don't know what
I
it's
saw a
called.
dead baby one the other day.
There's one on 213 that's like the size of a small child.
Yeah, they can get big.
Its feet are like straight up in the air.
I told my sister I thought it was
So
alive.
specialists.
I thought it was playing dead because it's like
No, it's
just
been like this for
one
2
giant
days.
thing.
It's getting bloated. And then specialists, like a koala, so if something changes in the environment, a specialist is going to struggle, right? Okay, so there's your specialist and generalist. This is just a recall question. Do you remember from the notes how many species we've identified?
Oh, that's mass extinction.
2 million have been identified, okay? Estimate of how many? We think there's 10 million. That's just gonna be a recall multiple choice question. Straight up, that kind of question, okay?
Probably still
Okay,
2 and 10.
2 and 10. Yep.
This sounds so similar.
Not-
I can swim some
Is
more
there 8 million missing because of the ocean?
We just don't know, and yeah, the deep ocean, the depths of the rainforest, we keep finding stuff. Yeah. Okay, richness versus evenness. All right, so you gotta make sure you know the difference in your head. So richness refers to the number of
Species.
different species, okay? It's not how many there are, it's how many different types there are, okay?
Wait, richness is how many
Different species, okay? So here, diff species is richness, okay? Evenness is pretty simple to figure out because the word defines itself.
Balance.
How much balance there is in that ecosystem, okay? So between the two, it's a trick question. Which do you want? You want both. You want it to be even, but you want it to be rich, right? Okay, there's the difference. So why diversity is beneficial? Well, again, I kind of talk too much here because doesn't that tie into all this stuff? Yeah, I mean, these go together, all together. I mean, it's the biodiversity section, so let's talk about biodiversity, okay? These go with things that can affect biodiversity. They're actually like an evolution kind of topic, but they do affect populations which affect genes, which cause changes, right? So the deal with genetic drift, okay? Okay, so you guys, I mean, about half of you in here, in biology, I use my hand to show this. Your pinky is your smallest finger, okay? Right? Because genetic drift affects small populations. Your small pinky is your small population, okay? So if that small population is there much genetic mixing? Because it's a small population. No. So you remember the Florida Panthers with the weird kink in their tail? Right? That's genetic drift because they're a small isolated population breeding with whom? Each other. So they're basically inbreeding, and so that kink in their tail and other problems, it's just going to keep happening, right? And that's what genetic drift is. It affects small populations.
That's like the definition of it.
Yeah. Well,
Can you say like
you want the definition? Okay. A group of organisms branches off and is isolated and starts their own, like the Amish, and starts their own group. That's what because if you're drifting, what are you doing?
moving?
Yeah, right. Or if you're driving a car, you're drifting, right? You're moving away, right? So you have a small isolated population starting their own group. Okay, but it's always a small population. So things that go with genetic drift is a bottleneck. Okay, so a bottleneck, and the key to bottleneck is there's a disaster that wipes out key alleles.
Disaster.
Trying to write fast. Okay, there's a disaster that wipes out key alleles. So there's a bottleneck. Okay, if you're in a traffic jam, you're in a bottleneck, right? Things aren't working like they should. Okay, and so that goes with genetic drift because you have a small population. Okay, key alleles are wiped out. But if you run across a question that talks about a disaster and these organisms are affected and now key alleles aren't there, that's the bottleneck one. Okay, all right. Inbreeding depression. I mean, this is the fancy term for basically talking about what? Inbreeding, but we call it an inbreeding depression. Okay, so if inbreeding is going on, what's happening to diversity? It's going down, right? And see how this ties into genetic drift? Because if you have a small population and they're isolated, right, and they have key alleles, certain alleles that aren't there anymore, and they keep inbreeding, aren't they going to have lots of problems? Kinks in their tails and whatever else, right? Okay. Any questions on that? Spent a lot of time on that. So, all right, moving on. Services. Okay, intrinsic value. Intrinsic is you feel like there's worth to it. Remember the quiz question yesterday?
Yes, and I couldn't
Okay.
figure it out.
Yeah, that's intrinsic value. So there's, I mean, even, let's say there's an old house out in the country. You don't want it, you own it, let's say. You don't want it to be torn down because why?
Because it's been there forever.
And it's important to you, right? That has an intrinsic value. You get the idea? Okay.
Important, intrinsic.
Yeah, okay. Instrumental value is just how much it's, what the worth. What's it worth? That's what instrumental value is. Okay. Okay, then we have the services. Now, like we had when I brought these up last week, it depends on how it's stated if it's going to be regulating or supporting. Okay, so it really depends. You can't just say, oh, the nitrogen cycle is supporting, always, which it usually is, but if there were a question about it, like the beans are growing effectively because they're adding nitrogen to the soil and it makes food, well, yeah, we're talking about nitrogen cycle, but now I said food, so now it becomes provisioning, you see? So you really just got to know what these mean, and then you'll be okay. So what's a good way to remember provisioning? Food, provisions, right? So like goods produced, foods, products, stuff like that, right? Yeah. Regulating, they regulate stuff. I mean, if I use a different word for regulate, moderate means to regulate. It's just a fancier word, right? You're moderating something. You're regulating it. Okay? Supporting, supports stuff. Okay? They support things. Okay? That's supporting. Okay? And then cultural, a good way to remember cultural is just recreational. Okay? So some people go to Mississinawa because it has a lake. If there were no lake in Mississinawa, would anyone go? Probably not. Okay, that reservoir, that lake, it's cultural, right? Okay. You good on those? Okay. Island biogeography. This one's pretty easy. You remember the beans? Mm-hmm. Spill the beans? Okay. So we tie in richness, right, to island biogeography. So again, you have the mainland, large close, small close, large far, small far. Okay. It's common sense, right? You just kind of look at it and go, okay, which one's going to have the greatest richness? Yeah, the large close, right? Which one's going to have the greatest immigration rate moving in? Large close, okay? Which one's going to have the smallest richness? Small far. Which one, which one's going to have the least moving to it? Small far. That's it on island bio.
So is the small close and large far just irrelevant?
Well, I mean, if you were saying, if I were to say which two islands would have the greatest rate of immigration, it could be those, but usually it's mainly talking about the largest ones and the smallest ones, the large close and the small far. That's usually how these kind of questions work. Okay, because then you start questioning the answer, like, well, couldn't it be this? Well, I want to make sure it's just one or the other. Okay. Okay. Any questions on that? Island size and conservation. Now, don't think of now let's say these are forests. All of these are forests. They're not islands in the ocean, okay? If you were asked to create a habitat to save these red wolves are highly endangered, okay? And you want to build a habitat, or preserve a habitat for them, what would you recommend? What size would you recommend? The larger the habitat, as large as you can get, the better off the animals are. Okay? That's the whole idea. That's always the go-to. Bigger is definitely the best for animals. Okay, they have more space. Okay. You ever been to a national park? Anyone ever been to a national park?
I've been to Red Rock.
Okay.
Is that a national park?
It's more of an area. It's a cool place to listen to a concert.
The only place.
Yeah. So, but yeah, national parks are usually really big.
Is that a national park?
So, what park?
Turkey Run?
At State Park. State Park. Okay, so that's what you want. Niches and island size. Okay. Which island would have the greater number of niches?
The big one.
The big one. Niches are where animals, where they live and what they do. Bigger is going to create more niches. Smaller will have fewer niches. Okay. Invasive species going to islands. Now let's go to an island like Hawaii, and now we start introducing foreign things because of ships. How do animals that are native to these islands, how are they affected by invasive species? They don't do well, right? They have no immunity, okay? Because they're isolated, okay? And because they're isolated, you start introducing things to them, they are in trouble. So what's happened to the bird population in Hawaii? What do you think? It's going down, yeah. Okay. Okay, and then I already did this. Genetic drift affects what size? Small populations. Okay, a good example of that is the founder effect. Okay, so people didn't like the oppression of King George. What did they do?
Sailed across the sea.
They sailed across and started their own founding population, the Puritans. Did you have to read the Scarlet Letter?
Yeah.
That was Puritans, right?
Yeah.
Pilgrims,
I don't know.
Puritans. Super strict religion, all that stuff. But that's a founding population. That's what that's for. Okay. Okay. I didn't put this on the test, so you know what? We're not gonna worry about that for radiation.
Okay.
Immunity of what kind?
Native species don't do well with species of
How long are we here till?
10, nope, 22.
22, okay. Oh, yeah, we're good. I don't need to fly here. Okay. So now we're in tolerance. Okay, so tolerance zones. And it's not like I'm going to give you the graph and you answer multiple choice question about the graph. It's understanding if this organism is not within their optimal range, how's that going to affect them?
You're gonna die.
Yeah, so remember that lab we did where you had the clams and the fish, and you had the red squares and you moved your fish?
Oh, I was kind of
Right.
stress zone.
Yeah, so right here, right, so here is the optimal, right? Whatever it is. It could be oxygen, it could be temperature. That's like where they want to be. Once you get to these zones,
Stress.
now they're stressed. They're not going to be reproducing. Their populations are going to go down. Okay? And then you get to these zones, death, right? And that's what it, so I might give you a problem with some data, and it shows the data they want to be and the data that they are in, what's going to happen. And then you got to decide what's going to happen to them, okay, based on the tolerance zones. Okay? You good on those? Okay. Next one, fundamental and realize knowledge.
Fundamental is the big one, and realized is the small one, right?
Okay, fundamental is what they are capable of living in. Okay, so it's the whole thing. Realize is what they actually live in. Okay, so they're capable of living in these parts, but this is where they actually are living. Okay, and it could be birds in trees making nests. It could be barnacles living on a rocky coast. They could live up here, but most of them want to live here. It's whatever. Okay, so fundamental and realized. Okay, if another animal wants to move into the same niche, what's going to happen? They're going to compete, and one will always outcompete the other. They will never.
No two species can.
They can't live together.
Be niche.
Right, they won't occupy the same niche.
Isn't that a law?
It's just a principle, they call it, the competitive
I
food
feel like
principle.
it's the same, I feel like it's like certain wording and everything, it's like, no two species can occupy the same niche.
Yeah. It should be a law. Okay, geographic range and climate change. All right, so this is kind of a random thing. So let me see, I draw Florida, there's Texas, and so on. All right, so here's Florida.
That's pretty good.
Okay. So we've got these trees growing in the south. What's the climate like in the south? It's hot. They don't really have winters. You know, they play baseball year round in the south because they can, right? But climate change is affecting things, right? So if this green squiggle represents a plant, what do you suppose is happening to the range of plants because of climate change? It's shifting. Where?
Is it shifting down?
Well, it can't go down. There's nowhere to go.
So it's
Right,
shifting
so
down.
it's gonna go, yeah, it's gonna move up,
I
right?
thought we
So
were-
like I said, jokingly, we're gonna grow tobacco in Indiana.
Oh,
It's-
right, we're not going to get heated over the negative.
Yeah, maybe oranges.
That's why we're in our heat wave.
What did you
palm
say about
trees.
that?
Yeah, maybe palm trees in
Is
Indiana.
that why Canada's not getting as much snow anymore?
Yeah, well, even us, we don't
Yeah.
have winter anymore. It's no
We
fun.
don't have as many school days,
Yeah.
any snow days.
Okay, mass extinction. How many mass extinctions have there been? There have been 5 mass extinctions, okay?
We're on the 6th.
So, usually a mass extinction, either it's a volcano or an asteroid, slams into the earth or the volcano erupts, and it's not the impact, it's the,
Radiation.
no, it's the blanketing of the atmosphere with all this debris, which blocks the what? You block the sun, you stop photosynthesis, everything's in trouble. Okay, and that's usually what ends up happening in a mass extinction. What's causing the 6th one?
Us.
Us, right, okay? The white rhino's gone, right? What's happened in bird populations?
Shrinking.
Yeah, everything. I could show you all kinds of stuff. It's kind of depressing, but wait till we get to that chapter and I talk about what poachers are doing to like sharks and stuff like that. You know, in China, they eat shark fin soup. They cut the tips off of sharks, the tips of their fins, and make it into a soup. So what's that do with the sharks? Kills the
You
sharks.
seriously kill a shark
Kills
to see the tip of their fin?
Yeah, it kills them. Yep. But we'll talk about that later. All right, so the environment's changing, right? If there's a rapid change, can organisms adapt fast enough?
No.
No. So rapid change leads to
Death. Extinction.
extinction. Yeah, and that's another effect of climate change, right? Climate change is killing off things. So you know amphibians are dying?
No amphibians.
Yeah, amphibians are dying because of climate change. We might not have frogs and salamanders and stuff. So, yeah.
Wait, what
So
did you
sad.
say?
Frogs and salamanders.
What did you say was
Salamander song.
Did we ever
Was
find that
affecting extinction or that?
Climate change, rapid climate change, rapid change.
Gracie, we never found our
Okay,
song.
Wait, no, we did.
We did?
Yeah.
Okay, disturbances. All right, so these 3 are another one that you could look at in different ways, like the ecosystem services, okay? But periodic is pretty easy. Periodic means
Like it has a schedule.
regular intervals, right? So we know fall is the 22nd. We know once we get into mid to late December, it's going to be,
Cold.
in what season?
Fall.
Winter, right? So
Wait,
that's
what?
periodic, right? We know if you live on the coast and there's a full moon, we know that's going to affect
The tides.
the tides. That's a periodic thing, okay? So we know periodic. Episodic is kind of like random, but it's a little more predictable than random, okay? So the way I like to say it, there's no fixed schedule.
So it's just irregular.
Okay, yeah. Volcanoes could be episodic, right? Volcanoes don't Well, see, you could argue that though, because some do. That's why I said don't sit there and memorize certain things. Just understand what they mean. There's no fixed schedule. Okay. Most volcanoes, we don't really know when they're going to erupt. Okay, we got a rough idea, but we just don't know the schedule, right? Random is like it says. It's truly unpredictable. Okay. So a meteorite, you could argue that meteorites are random, but don't we know where some meteorites are at right now because of telescopes? So see, you could argue, but random is just something just off the wall.
What would actually be random that we like? Because like
The one I like is lightning.
lightning.
Because there's a storm coming through. You don't know if lightning
But
is.
you know that it's gonna happen, right?
You know it's going to have lightning, but you know exactly where it's going to strike. That's random. That's a great one to go by.
Tornado be random?
Yeah, because
We have a tornado. You still know where it's gonna
But they're
touch
not
down,
good at
just like the
tracking
lightning.
Twister.
Ryan, you don't know if it's going to
It
produce.
does just like lightning.
No,
You don't know
tornado.
where it's gonna
Yeah.
strike or where it's gonna.
Okay, moving on. We got to move on.
I think tornadoes like episodic because we have a tornado season.
Yeah, like hurricanes. There's a
Yeah.
hurricane season.
Hurricane season.
Okay, resistance and resilience. I put this on the quiz. Resilience means the ability to
Right back.
bounce back, right? And just think of that. What are those things
It's not
called?
a bounce.
The bounce back things. Didn't you have when you were a kid? I did. I remember
Yo-yos?
punching them. And, no,
Yo-yo.
those inflatable things with sand, a thing of sand on the bottom.
Thing that pops back up.
Yeah.
Can you talk about those balloons with the rubber band and you go like this?
Oh yeah, those. Yeah.
I love those things.
So resilience, fighting back. Resistance, the ability to withstand something, right? So let's say there's a sickness going around in the school, comet vomit. Remember that?
Oh my goodness.
How old were
I've
you
heard
guys?
So many times.
Were you in elementary?
Yes, we were in elementary.
Okay. Comet vomit. Did you get it, or were you one of the lucky
I was
ones?
a survivor.
I didn't have it. I was.
I
So
didn't get
many.
it.
I remember
I
hearing
got
that
Yeah,
there was
you're
like
right.
I remember
200.
there was one
I remember
day
hearing
where there was
like
only,
200
I think,
kids
4
out.
kids
Well, they
in my
shut down
class.
the whole-
That's crazy.
I know,
We still
but I
had
remember
school.
hearing
Well,
that
we
there
did have
was,
school.
like,
We never canceled.
200 plus kids.
I was out.
So that's resistance, the ability to withstand a disturbance when we're talking about the environment. Okay. So intermediate. This is self-defining. Okay. Average disturbances. Now you remember a disturbance is like a fire, a tornado, or something like that. If it's intermediate meaning average, it's better for the ecosystem, and they recover more. They recover stronger from that. Okay, that's the intermediate disturbance hypothesis. If it's a really, really bad disturbance, is the ecosystem going to recover very well? It's going to take. It's not. Okay, but if it's intermediate, that's healthy. So like out west, forest fires aren't bad if it's not like a super massive fire, because what does it help the trees do?
Come back stronger.
Yeah, it helps germinate the seeds, and so then more trees start to grow. That's a great example of the intermediate disturbance.
Medium
hypothesis.
level disturbance.
Yeah, medium disturbance is what you want.
Average.
Yeah, you like medium salsa. You don't want the hot muy caliente salsa.
Yeah.
That's what my
You
brother
do?
likes.
Yeah, exactly. Because you have to deal with the after effects of hot sauce.
Ew.
Goes in hot, comes out hot. That's
Ew.
tough.
Ew.
Okay, so that's intermediate, right? How have CO2 levels changed over time?
Gone up. Oh.
What's the word for that?
Bimodal.
Fluctuated,
Also bimodal.
right? So right now,
Well, no, still keep
we
that.
have lots of CO2, okay? And that's human caused. And so it's at a high point. In the future, if we're still around, it could be down here. I don't know.
Hopefully
We
it'll
don't
go
know.
back down soon.
So, see, it's fluctuating. Climate change and migration, sea level. Okay, so climate change has affected all of these things, right? Migration patterns of animals, they've changed. Birds and migrating mammals. Sea levels, what are sea levels doing? Going up. By the way, random side note, since I have time, sea level rise, is it caused by melting icebergs?
No.
No, because the ice is already in the water. You can't make it go up from ice in the water.
And ice is bigger because there's air in it.
Yeah, water expands, right? So rising sea level comes from melting land ice. not water ice, right? That's what's making it happen, okay? And what's happening to global temperatures from climate change? Definitely going up, right? Okay, that's disturbances. All right, last two, adaptations. Okay, so Darwin and natural selection. You inherit traits that fit into the environment. That's it. Okay? So you have traits and environment. Okay? R-O-N. That's all he said. Okay? And if you fit in the environment, you're gonna survive. If you don't fit in the environment,
You're dead.
you're dead. If you're a specialist and the environment changes,
You're dead.
you're dead. If you're a generalist and the environment changes, you're much more likely to survive.
Specialists are like high maintenance humans.
Yeah, that's a good way to think of it. Yeah,
You? Yes.
high maintenance. All right,
Like, it's not
fitness
special,
is survive
Special more than one.
and reproduce.
Generalists are people that think the same thing.
Okay, that's the key. Rabbits have a very high fitness.
I don't know.
Why?
One time my mom ran over somebody with the lawnmower.
And she probably felt bad, but
No, we all cried.
did you?
She killed
I've
it?
done that too on
Yeah,
accident.
it
But
was. Yeah, it was like the whole house.
so reproduce is the key to fitness.
That's so
The more
sad.
fit you are, the more offspring you have.
Natural selection, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's because rabbits will dig a hole in the
Yeah,
grass and
there
have
were
their
little
babies.
bunnies in there,
Yeah.
and it was in the neighborhood that you live in.
I've done
So
it.
they get eaten by
So many
I've done it
bunnies.
multiple times.
There's so many
Yeah.
bunnies in that freaking
That's
land.
their
There
fault
are.
for
There's lots of
growing
bunnies.
into your
Right.
grass.
Okay, an adaptation makes you more fit. Okay? So let's talk about birds. Birds are easy. If you're the reddest red cardinal, that's a great adaptation because what are you going to be doing a lot of?
Mating.
You're going to be making babies because you're attracted to the gray females. Okay, that's an
She's
adaptation.
in motion.
Okay? Adaptations make you more fit. Okay? Environmental change and adapting. Well, I just said it earlier, right? The environment changes. If you can't adapt,
You're dead.
yeah, like you're a specialist, you're very specific, you're not going to do very well. So, like I said, are raccoons in trouble because of climate change? No, no one is saying save the raccoons because they're doing just fine. No one's saying save the deer because deer are fine, right? It's other animals like pandas and stuff like that.
Pandas don't even have a big.
Okay. Genetic diversity is going to make you
Fit.
more fit. Yeah, it still goes back to being fit. The more diverse it is, the more likely you are to survive. The more likely you are.
Making so many babies.
They do.
Well, that's just what they do. I don't know. So, coevolution are two things evolving together. Okay, the classic example is the flower and the bee. Okay, two things evolving together. Okay, micro and macro. Okay, let me go over here. I think this is one test question. Okay, micro are like things like color changes. Okay, so in a population, you have tan mice and black mice, and all the tan mice start getting eaten, the colors start shifting to being black, right? That's microevolution. Macroevolution is becoming a new species. Big changes. Macro big, micro small. Okay, there's the difference. Super easy. Artificial selection is the quickest way we can make evolution, we can see it happen, right? What's a good example of artificial selection?
Dogs.
Dogs. Why do we have all these dog breeds?
Because we breed them.
We made them. Yeah, we took this dog and bred it with that dog. The golden retriever was made from an Irish setter and a water spaniel. It doesn't exist anymore. And that made golden retrievers. They have characteristics of both of those dogs. 1800s. It's a fairly new breed, actually.
Golden retrievers are the best dogs.
It's my favorite
Stand
dog.
by that.
It's my favorite.
Finland.
I agree. Did you know that golden retrievers make extra serotonin?
Really?
That's why they love you so much.
I love
They're
my
so
dogs.
happy.
Yeah, they make
They're
lots.
always so
I
Yeah.
have a golden doodle. He's really happy.
Okay, that's artificial.
He's crazy.
He's really happy.
Mutations, recombination, and diversity. All right,
Here's
so
a black golden.
the number one way to have changes in populations, okay, genetically, right, is a mutation, right? So a mutation can happen that can help the population. Recombination is another way. What that means is if you have, here's a chromosome, here's a chromosome, and they cross over, right? Now, this one has some pieces of this stuck to it. Recombined, they mixed. Now it's got some genes from the other chromosome, and now you have different unique traits that give you an advantage. That's what recombination means. Yeah. It happens during crossing over. But we don't want to talk about that's too much biology
No, I love it.
for
I love
environmental
it.
science.
What do we
So
have to know about that?
It gives me
it's just
advantage.
recombination.
It's just showing that that is what gives diversity of
Yes.
mutations and
Yeah,
recombination.
yeah, you look at the big picture. It's animal populations in nature, right? So, okay, and the last one, succession.
I think I love succession.
Okay, so, all right, primary starts with,
Ross.
right, bare rock. Secondary,
Disturbance.
that's disturbance. There's the difference, okay?
Let's say, what is that, Bay Rock?
Yeah, well, my R's kind of messed up.
Bare rock.
Bare rock. Okay. So if we talk about primary, you're starting with bare rock, like a lava, a volcano erupted. You have this hardened lava. The bare rock has to be broken down. What are the things that break it down? Come on. Lichen, which is an example of
Bacteria.
a
Pioneer
Algae.
species.
pioneer species.
But it's bacteria and algae.
Okay, so lichen is a good example of pioneer species. They begin to break down the rock, right? And then over time, we start creating soil, and then you go from shrubs to softwood trees to big hardwood trees. What's that community called?
Climax.
Climax community. So that's that final stable stage, okay? Secondary succession.
Wait, what's the climax?
Climax is the final stage with the big hardwood trees. Secondary, there's a disturbance. Are you creating soil?
No.
The soil's there, just everything on top of it was destroyed like a
Fire.
fire. Yes. Or humans deforesting this
What
area,
about a
right?
glacier covering the ice?
So a glacier is going to leave rocks behind, so we got to do primary succession.
But the stuff underneath was just frozen.
Yeah, but it puts a layer so thick down that you need to break all that rock up. Yeah. So we have lichen. Hold on, let me get back to secondary. So there's a fire, it recovers much more quickly and then becomes a climax community. But that's what I want you to know. Primary bare rock, pioneer species.
Can you give an example for that? Not example, a definition.
For the beginning colonizing organisms. And I keep using Oregon Trail because you're in your covered wagon, you're going out west, you're the first to do it, and you end up dying of dysentery. Diarrhea. Yeah. It'd be a terrible way to go.
They just they start the process. Like they start the success.
Yeah, they start succession. And the classic example are lichen. It's other things, but lichen's good because you'll see lichen, okay, on the test. And then the final stage is a climax community.
Oak trees.
Yeah, oak trees, hardwood trees, right. Okay, keystone species. And if you remember the notes, we had this archway and This is the keystone. And if the keystone falls, what happens to the whole ecosystem? Yeah, the whole ecosystem. So the keystone species is that the heart and soul of everything. Okay?
Of like the food chain.
Yeah, without the keystone species, that whole ecosystem falls apart. Okay? And the last one. Indicator species is exactly what it states. It indicates something, right? So an indicator species will indicate if there's pollution, if there's something going on. And they look at, I mean, we did it on our field trip, right? We look for indicator species. Okay, you good? Okay, so multiple choice tomorrow, and then FRQ on Friday. So, got it? All right, I'm done.